Welcome back, everyone. Ready for another deep dive. Today, we're marching into ancient Rome to explore the reign of a ruler who might not be a household name, Emperor Trajan.
Ah, Trajan. Definitely an emperor worth revisiting.
He ruled from 98 to 117 AD, a period where Rome was, shall we say, experiencing some growing pains. Our sources paint a picture of an empire grappling with the internal power struggles and facing threats from its neighbors.
Not exactly a recipe for stability.
And into this volatile mix steps Trajan. But here's where it gets interesting. He doesn't fit the mold of your typical Roman emperor.
Oh, far from it. Trajan's background is a key part of what makes his story so compelling.
So, for those who might not have their Roman history down pat, he wasn't born into the lap of luxury in Rome itself.
Nope, not a pampered Roman aristocrat.
Our sources tell us he was actually born in Hispania, which is
modern-day Spain.
Right, Spain. Not exactly the heart of the Roman Empire at the time.
Definitely not where you'd expect a future emperor to hail from.
So how does a kid from the outskirts of the empire end up leading the whole show?
Well, that's the million sestertius question, isn't it?
Trajan's rise is really a testament to his own ambition and, frankly, some serious talent.
Absolutely. He didn't just inherit power. He earned it the hard way through the ranks of the Roman legions.
And those legions were nothing to mess with.
They were the backbone of Rome's military might, highly disciplined, expertly trained, and utterly ruthless when they needed to be.
Leading those legions, even for a short time, required incredible strength, tactical thinking,
and the ability to command respect from battle-hardened soldiers. This wasn't a role for the faint of heart.
And that's exactly where Trajan cut his teeth, so to speak. He proved himself on the front lines, leading men in battle, understanding the realities of warfare firsthand.
Which brings us to 98 AD. Emperor Nerva, the current emperor, is in a tough spot. Rome needs stability, strong leadership.
And he sees something special in Trajan.
Yes. Nerva makes a bold move. He adopts Trajan and names him his heir.
Think about that for a second. This outsider, this military man, suddenly thrust into the line of succession.
It was a gamble for Nerva, no doubt, but one that paid off spectacularly for Rome.
Because Trajan, with his military background and no-nonsense approach, was exactly what the empire needed.
He wasn't just handed the keys to the kingdom, though. He had to prove himself, and boy, did he ever.
And that brings us to one of the defining chapters of Trajan's reign, the Dacian campaigns.
No, we're talking about serious military endeavors here. Dacia, for those unfamiliar, was a powerful kingdom.
Roughly where modern-day Romania is, right?
That's right. They were a constant thorn in Rome's side, not exactly a pushover.
And Trajan, he doesn't shy away from a challenge. He launches not one, but two major campaigns against Dacia.
These were massive undertakings, requiring incredible logistical planning, coordination, and sheer manpower.
And it wasn't just about strategy and logistics for Trajan, was it? Our sources paint a picture of an emperor who wasn't content to just command from afar.
Oh, absolutely not. Trajan was known for leading from the front, fighting alongside his men, sharing their dangers.
Which I'm guessing wasn't exactly standard operating procedure for Roman emperors.
Let's just say it earned him a level of respect and loyalty among the legions that most emperors could only dream of. They were fighting for a leader who was willing to fight right alongside them in the thick of it.
And those campaigns, they weren't just about grabbing land or adding another jewel to the Roman crown.
They were about sending a message. Dacia had defied Rome for too long.
It was about showing the empire's enemies that Rome was back, stronger than ever, and under Trajan's leadership, they wouldn't tolerate any threats.
And the results, well, they speak for themselves. By 102 AD, Dacia was absorbed into the Roman Empire.
But what's really fascinating is what Trajan does next. He doesn't just rest on his laurels. He doesn't just come back to Rome, parade around in a chariot full of plundered Dacian treasure, and call it a day, does he?
No, he had bigger plans. Much bigger.
He recognized that true power, lasting power, wasn't just about conquest. It was about building a stronger, more resilient Rome.
And that's where things get really interesting. We'll dive into that right after the break.
So Trajan returns to Rome, fresh off his Dacian victories, but instead of just basking in the glory, he's got his mind on something else entirely.
He understood that military victories were just one piece of the puzzle.
Right, it's not enough to just conquer territory. You've got to secure it, build it up, make it work for the empire.
Exactly. And that's where Trajan's vision really shines through. He embarks on this ambitious campaign of reform and renewal within Rome itself.
Okay, so we're talking less about legions and more about, What, laws and infrastructure and stuff like that?
You got it. Trajan tackled things that directly affected the lives of everyday Romans, from the legal system to the roads they walked on.
Give us some specifics. What kind of reforms did he implement?
Well, one area he focused on was legal reform. Our sources describe his efforts to make the courts more accessible to ordinary citizens, to reduce corruption.
It's one thing to have laws on the books, but it's another thing entirely to make sure they're actually serving the people, right?
Exactly. He wanted to make sure that justice wasn't just for the wealthy or well-connected. He streamlined the legal system so even someone from a distant province could seek a fair hearing in Rome.
It's like he was trying to bridge that gap between the heart of the empire and those far-flung corners.
And that brings us to another area where Trajan made a huge impact: infrastructure.
Ah, the roads, the aqueducts those Romans sure loved to build, didn't they?
They understood that a strong infrastructure was the lifeblood of a vast empire like theirs. Trajan poured resources into building and repairing roads, bridges, aqueducts, you name it.
But these weren't just vanity projects, right?
No, these were strategic investments. Better roads meant faster troop movements, more efficient trade.
And aqueducts.
Those brought fresh water to cities, improving public health and sanitation. These projects weren't just about appearances, they were about strengthening the very fabric of Roman society.
So Trajan's out there conquering Dacia, reforming the legal system, building infrastructure like crazy. It makes you wonder, where was he getting all the money for this?
Well, remember those Dacian campaigns we talked about? They weren't just about military glory.
Ah, the spoils of war.
Precisely. The conquest of Dacia brought a massive influx of wealth into Rome's coffers. Gold, silver, precious resources. Trajan used that wealth to fund his ambitious building projects and reforms.
It's like he knew that to build a stronger Rome, he had to reinvest the wealth gained through conquest back into the empire itself.
And he wasn't shy about showcasing Rome's newfound prosperity and his role in it.
Which brings us, of course, to those incredible building projects we mentioned earlier. Trajan's Column, Trajan's Forum. These weren't just buildings, they were statements.
They were designed to inspire awe and wonder in anyone who laid eyes on them.
Okay, so let's talk about some of these architectural marvels. First up, Trajan's Forum. What made it so special?
Imagine this: a vast open space in the heart of Rome, surrounded by colonnades, temples, libraries.
It sounds impressive.
It was a true marvel of Roman engineering and artistry. There was a massive basilica, the Basilica Oppia, with these soaring columns and intricate marble work.
This was a place where Romans would gather, do business, debate, and just be Romans, right?
Exactly. It was a bustling center of Roman life, a symbol of the city's prosperity and grandeur under Trajan's rule.
Okay, so picking up where we left off, Trajan's grand building projects, we were about to delve into Trajan's Column.
Ah, yes.
Quite a monument.
It's one of those things you see in pictures and history books, but can you give us a sense of what it would have been like to actually stand there in ancient Rome looking up at this thing?
Well, imagine a column towering over 125 feet tall.
Taller than a, what, 10-story building? Something like that. And it's not just a plain column. It's covered, and I mean completely covered, in this intricate, spiraling band of carved marble.
We're talking about the scenes from the Dacian Wars, right?
Exactly. It's like a visual chronicle of the entire campaign, carved in meticulous detail. You've got Roman soldiers marching, building bridges, fighting battles, all swirling upwards towards the top.
It must have been an incredible sight.
It was meant to be. It was designed to overwhelm the senses, to showcase the might of Rome, and of course, the brilliance of Trajan as a military leader.
It's like a giant propaganda piece, but incredibly impressive nonetheless.
Oh, absolutely. It served a purpose. Imagine you're a citizen of Rome. Maybe you're just a farmer who's come into the city for the day. You see this towering monument. You see the emperor's victories literally carved in stone.
It definitely make an impact.
It was about inspiring awe, reinforcing the idea of Rome's dominance, and subtly, or maybe not so subtly, reminding everyone who was in charge.
And it worked. I mean, we're still talking about Trajan's Column today, centuries later.
It's a testament to the power of architecture, of art, to shape how we perceive history, how we remember leaders.
Trajan, he seemed to understand that. He wasn't just building structures, he was building his legacy. He was shaping how people would see him, how they'd remember his reign.
And it worked brilliantly. He solidified his place as one of Rome's greatest emperors, a builder, a conqueror, a reformer who ushered in a golden age for the empire.
It makes you wonder, what was it about Trajan that allowed him to achieve so much?
It's a question worth pondering. Was it his military background, his understanding of the common people having not been born into the Roman elite, his sheep ambition?
Maybe it was a combination of all those things. Plus, let's not forget, a fair bit of luck along the way.
True enough. But luck favors the prepared, as they say. And Trajan, he was nothing if not prepared to seize the opportunities that came his way.
His story is a powerful reminder that leadership can come from unexpected places. That sometimes it's the outsiders, the ones who don't fit the traditional mold, who are best equipped to shake things up, to challenge the status quo, and to leave a lasting impact on the world.
And that those legacies, those impacts, can take many forms, from sweeping reforms to towering monuments that stand the test of time.
Trajan's story certainly makes you think about the nature of power, the impact one person can have, and the enduring legacy of ancient Rome.
A legacy that continues to fascinate and inspire us centuries later.
And on that note, we'll wrap up our deep dive into the reign of Trajan, Rome's unexpected savior. Thanks for joining us on this journey through ancient Rome. We'll be back soon with another fascinating chapter from the past. Until then, keep exploring.